Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome. My name is Munchables. This is my YouTube channel. I'm finally actually creating YouTube content for it. We're going to start off with a little bit of a series on how you guys at home can get better at Vainglory Solo-queue. Now the first installment in this series, I don't know how many installments there are going to be, but the first one is going to be talking about mentality in the game, how you can think about the game and how you can improve your gameplay by the way that you think about things. Now we're going to start off by talking about your rank. Now obviously the goal of solo-queue is to reach the highest rank. You want to get Vainglorious Gold, right? That's the ultimate goal of every player, is to be the best that you can be. But unfortunately, thinking about rank too much is actually a negative thing when it comes to solo-queue. If you're focusing on what rank you currently are and what rank you need to be, what rank you want to be, it can actually affect your mentality and it can affect your mindset and your positivity when you're going into games. If you've lost a couple of games in a row and you feel like you're at a rank that you don't deserve to be, if you feel like you're below the elo that you should be at and you're losing games, you're going to tilt all the harder, that's not a sentence, you're going to tilt even more based off of that factor, based off of what you perceive your elo should be and what your elo actually currently is. Now the way you should be thinking about this is forget rank. Rank doesn't actually matter. What matters is how good you are as a player. Rank is a side effect of that. So if when you go into a game, instead of worrying about what rank you are and worrying about how much elo you're gaining and all of that kind of nonsense, if instead you're focusing on how well are you playing, what can you improve on, how good is your CSing, how good is your team fighting, how good is your positioning, these kind of things, gradually you will improve as a player, and the better you get, the more consistent you'll play, and the more you will win games. The more you win games, the higher rank you will get. Rank is a side effect, not the initial goal. The goal should always be to improve yourself as a player. Now, another note on that is individual games do not matter too much. So do not get angry when you lose an individual game or when you're going to lose an individual game. You cannot carry every single game. You cannot win every single game unless you're like Leon or I'm the Doom in Europe who just dominate the competition every single time. Like, they are obscenely good players. You cannot aspire to that same level without playing for years and years or playing for hours on end every single day. It's just not a realistic goal. So you have to accept that you are going to lose some games. Sometimes someone will AFK, sometimes you'll have a troll on your team, sometimes you just lose. Sometimes the other team is simply better, you know? That does happen, and that doesn't make you a worse player for it. That's what matchmaking is meant to do. The more you win, the harder your opponents. The harder your opponents, the more likely you are to lose a game. But the way to think about it is that individual game going to matter in 3 months' time? You're not even going to remember that you played that game. And a single matchup will not affect your win-loss ratio that heavily. The more games you play, the less, in fact, it will affect that. So individual games should not matter to you, especially if you follow that first rule of thinking about how good you are playing instead of whether or not you are winning or losing. The more you improve, the more you'll win those games, and the less each individual game will matter to you. And the last point I want to bring up is toxicity. Now, this is a point that you can see in the gameplay on your screen. This could have been a very toxic game. I locked in CP Alpha Jungle first, and then we ended up with a CP Baron in lane and a Weapon Power Rona as the final pick. So nobody picked Captain. Weapon Power Rona came into the jungle with me. This was a point where all three of us could have become incredibly toxic. I could have started rage pinging, like people could have AFK'd, and in fact Rona did AFK for a little bit in the game, but we still won because everybody kept their cool. So long as you don't rage, as long as you can keep yourself calm, you don't spam people with pings, you don't add after the game and flame people, none of that achieves anything. In fact, it's an active detriment. You're going to lose more games if you act like that during the game. If you can keep your cool and just try and do your best to win, like we realized that we have a load of damage and we have a load of pressure, especially with Rona and with Alpha in the jungle. Both of them huge pressure in the early game. So we just played super aggressive and it worked out in the end. We managed to take that victory. So just make sure that you're keeping yourself in that right mindset and keeping yourself thinking, how can I win? Whatever the scenario, what is the way that I can still win this game? And if that doesn't work, if you are still getting frustrated at that point, just mute people. If someone's spamming you with pings, mute them. You don't have to listen to that. You don't have to be a part of that conversation anymore. And also, even if that is still not enough, just pretend you're playing with bots. You can turn off nameplates in the game so you just have the health bars and just pretend it's a bot match, and suddenly everything seems a little bit easier. Now obviously You can't win all games. Mentality is a difficult thing to maintain, and you are going to still get angry at solo queue. That happens. It's just making sure that you don't inflict that anger on other people, and making sure that you can keep it at a point where you can still progress as a player and you can still get better. So just to recap, the 3 points are: don't worry about your rank, worry about how good you are as a player and whether or not you are improving. The second point is don't get so angry. This individual game does not matter. Individual games don't matter. Your overall win-loss matters. And second is toxicity. Don't rage ping, and if other people are rage pinging you, mute them. You don't have to be a part of that toxic kind of stigma that the community has right now, or some of the community has right now. But yeah, so that's all I've got for you. Some games you're not going to be able to win, some games are going to have trolls, but you know, that happens to all of us, and that's just a part of solo queue. That's going to be the end of the first video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do a couple more videos in this series as well, explaining more about mechanics and macro and things like that on how you can improve for solo queue. But make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you have enjoyed the content. Also, if you have ideas for videos that you want to see me do, please leave them in the comments below. I'm looking for ideas. I'm looking to expand this channel, and I'm going to be uploading a video once every single day this week. So make sure to subscribe and keep tuning in. That's going to be it from me though. I've been Munchables, and thank you very much for watching.